Hello, I'm Steve Nottage, the Retro Rallycross Driver Liaison Officer, and I'm here with you to give you a review of the 2024 Retro Rallycross season. And what a season it's been. So, we had 9 rounds this season, and in Retro Rallycross, the smaller engined up to 1659cc cars, we had 4 different winners. Each getting their first place and their 20 championship points. And the season opened with a double header at Easter at the home of Rallycross, Liddon Hill in Kent, with the opening round on Easter Saturday and the second round on the bank holiday Monday. Terry Moore opened his account with a strong victory over fellow Mini driver Ian Biaggi, harking back to the old days of Rallycross, with Rob Buckmaster's Fiesta Mark II bringing him in 3rd and Dan Swayland pedalling his Mark I Escort into 4th. It was Ian Biaggi who basked in winner's glory before his return home to Scotland on Bank Holiday Monday, with Mr. Reliable Simon Hart and his dependable Mark I Escort coming in 2nd, and Rob Buckmaster scooping his 3rd place for the weekend. Our next 2 rounds were at Mondello Park in Ireland in late May. Twice retro champion Tony Lynch had recovered from a major operation which had prevented him from racing until then, celebrating his return with a brace of wins. Welcome back, Tony! For round 5, we returned to Liddon Hill and were joined by competitors from the BTRDA Clubman's Rallycross Championship, where Lynchy won the final ahead of Simon Hart and Dan Swayland. Rounds 6 and 7 took us to Pembrey in South Wales, where it was excellent to see Paul Buckmaster with a faster, more reliable Nova sporting a 1600cc K-Series Rover engine, which looks very promising. The racing between Tony and Dan was epic. Clean, competitive and very fast, just as we love it in Retro Rallycross. Tony and Dan shared the first steps of the podium, each having a win and a 2nd place. Dan was particularly delighted to achieve his first win in the class, particularly as it involved a superb overtake on Tony around the twisty Pembrey tarmac to accomplish it. So, we arrived at the last 2 rounds of the 2024 Retro Championship at Liddon with the championship finely balanced. Dan Swayland held the lead with 110 points, Lynchy close behind with 97 and Simon Hart hard on their heels with 90. Our Retro regulars were joined by Brad Venning, often seen in the paddock supporting Nigel and Pip Davey. But this time it was to be different for Brad, swapping his normal mechanic's overalls for a race suit and crash helmet, driving Pip's beloved Junior, her Peugeot 205 GTI. Terry Moore made a welcome return in his fabulous Austin Mini with its Swift Tune A-Series engine, together with a similar Mini of Scotsman Ian Biaggi. Lynchy, Dan, Paul, Simon, only Rob Buckmaster was missing from our regular retro races. Dan was able to fend off the close attentions of Brad in the Saturday final to give him his 2nd win and assuring him the Retro Championship for 2024 so long as he qualified for the final. With Brad 2nd in his first ever Rallycross final, Terry Moore 3rd and Tony Lynch 4th, Ian Biaggi, Simon Hart and Paul Buckmaster completing the field. Young Dan Swayland had clearly got into the winning habit, and despite a poor start in the Sunday final, clawed his way past Tony Lynch, who was having suspension problems, and Terry Moore, and that newcomer again Brad Venning, to claim his 3rd win of the season. So now let's look at the Super Retro class, the bigger engines, fire-breathing, big engine monsters. And over the course of this 2024 season, we again had 4 different winners. Round 1 at Easter started off well for John Cross, taking the win and seemingly shaking off the mechanical gremlins and attack escorts that had dogged his Lancia Stratos last year. and with a third place on Easter Monday, shared the lead with Charlie French, who was consistently fast in his Martin Skanker replica Zack Speed Mark II Escort. Indeed, it was Charlie who took up top honours next time out at Mondello, fending off the attention of fellow Zack Speed Escort driver Pat Duran. This was a meeting to be forgotten for John Cross, who took his Stratos over to Ireland a day early for testing, and had a superb long run testing all day before breaking it just at the end of test day, meaning he had to pack up and leave before the competition even started. Pat Duran finished off a great weekend in Ireland with a win in Sunday's final, clearly enjoying the close racing in the two-wheel drive Super Retro category. Stuart Emery, the ex-Super National champion who bought his left-hand drive Volvo 242 at the end of the 2023 season, he continued to get to grips with the big brute, picking up 4th and 3rd in the 2 Mondello rounds. He had also decided over the close season to paint his Volvo in the same livery as used by a certain Petter Solberg, who won the 1995 Norwegian Rallycross Championship in his 242 with the Castrol livery. Our next 2 rounds at Pembrey saw Charlie French take another win on the Saturday, but on the Sunday in damp, cold conditions, it was the fast-starting Triumph TR7 V8 of Nigel Davey that took the top spot, perhaps demonstrating a thundering 5-litre Rover V8 is more tractable than a turboed Escorts. The Vauxhall red-topped powered Ford of Alan Tapscott isn't as powerful as the turbocharged machines of Pat Duran or Charlie French, but has proven to be quick and reliable. And consistency is key. And this saw Alan in 3rd spot in the championship with 77 points behind Pat Duran on 110 and Charlie French on 124 points, heading into the last 2 rounds back at Liddon Hill in early November, where the season started many months before. Barry Stewart brought the bi-turbo Porsche out to play again and instantly had his hands full of championship top runners Charlie and Pat all day, both days. The boys entertained us with close racing all through the field in every session, making for the best racing of the day, confirmed by several spectators I spoke to at the time. Newcomer Dal Ambrose brought his rear-wheel drive Peugeot 205 out racing with us for the first time and thoroughly enjoyed the experience, using it as a shakedown before a full competitive season with us in Retro Rallycross in 2025. But not everyone was having such a successful day. Our favourite Cumbrian farmer, Dave Ewan, had made the journey to Liddon despite his van breaking down, only to break his rear-wheel drive Fiesta's differential in the first session. He assumed the role of spectator for the day as he was unable to get the diff apart with the tools at his disposal. But have no fear, the Retro Rallycross family jumped to his assistance. Stuart Emery and his team set about dismantling the diff, repairing it, putting it back together, meaning Dave was back out racing on the Sunday. John Cross was busy in the paddock, changing his gearbox, having struggled with gear selection problems and being unable to rev the Stratos' engine very high. Saturday's final was run under floodlights, with brake discs blowing, exhaust spluttering flames and a real buzz at the trackside. Barry brought the Porsche home in first position with Charlie and Pat hot on his heels, with Ray, Nigel, Stuart and Alan all in close reach behind. Another Retro Rallycross favourite was having a tricky weekend, and that was Vince Bristow. He'd spent the Saturday helping out in the paddock as his trusty BMW was behaving itself badly. Consequently, and despite having a great day's racing on Saturday himself, fellow Hastings inhabitant Ray Morgan lent Vince his Escort for the day's racing on the Sunday. It's very strange watching the racing alongside Ray in the paddock, whilst his car was wrangled in the only way Vince knows how, quick and sideways. Sunday's racing was as spectacular as the day before, but for the Tuesday night Rallycross team it was nerve-wracking, knowing something had to go awfully wrong with car or driver for their man Charlie not to win the overall Super Retro Championship. With Dave Ewing back out on track, but with Daryl Ambrose picking up a banana-shaped front upright, we had the same numbers on the grid as the day before, with the final taking place under floodlights and Barry Stewart repeating his win from the day before. Charlie French just about kept the big man, Pat Duran, at bay. So, our 2024 Super Retro champion is Charlie French. Pat Duran is runner-up and Alan Tapscott under a lot of pressure, but securing the last spot on the championship podium. All of us in Retro Rallycross agree that this is the best season's racing to date, after 13 years since Shirley first unveiled what was then the Retro Rallycross Challenge. We're under no doubt that this coming season will be as good, if not even better, if that's possible. We have several new cars and drivers aiming to join us in the 2025 season, including a possible father-daughter team. One or possibly two new cars under build by the Tuesday Night Rallycross team, and interest from several drivers in other categories and motorsport disciplines. We also expect the return of last year's overall Retro champion, Lee Wood. And if you would like to join us in Retro Rallycross next year or sometime in the future, please do contact me by email at steve@retrorallycross.com or through our website, retrorallycross.com, and we'll be delighted to hear from you. And remember, the future's retro. And that's our 2024 Retro Rallycross review.